I'm in the Amboseli ecosystem to explore how Maasai warriors are blending technology and traditional wisdom to conserve one of East Africa's last remaining lion strongholds. This is ground zero of humans and lions sharing space, and I'm on a mission to see what it takes to make this complex relationship work.
If a lion doesn't write his own story, the hunter will tell his tale.
Today, many of the world's lion strongholds are in human-dominated landscapes like the Amboseli ecosystem. And one community knows how to share space with them like nobody else.
Jambo.
The Maasai.
Soba.
Ipa.
Soba.
Ipa. Ipa. Maasai, when was the last time you had lions coming into your boma?
Mwele.
Last night?
Last night.
That's how you scare them away. Wow. What's it like living with lions? I can't even imagine. The fact that they had lions in this boma right outside just last night. You know, so often we have these oversimplified, reductive narratives about the people who live alongside large predators like lions. We either vilify them as the enemies of conservation, or we glorify them as these conservation heroes who will protect wildlife no matter what, even when there's a risk to their own lives. But there is complexity here, and there are no monoliths in conservation. Most people here are just trying to get by, put 3 meals on the table for their families, and look after their livestock. And if we want to protect the lions, we've got to protect these cows. That's a big part of the solution too. While lions are symbols of power in Maasai culture, spearing them has been an important initiation ritual, marking the transition to manhood. Today, a new generation of Maasai men are rewriting what it means to step into their masculine power, transitioning from being warriors to guardians of lions. Hi! So happy to finally meet you. Malaika.
Okay. Hello, Malaika.
I've heard so much about you, Eric. Nice to meet you. So, what are we doing today?
We are going for tracking.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Now look. So this one, this is very interesting. So this is a hyena track. You can see even the paws are protruding. They don't know how to hide it.
Eric, with all the technology that we have access to, why is it still important for the next generation to know about how to track in the bush with traditional knowledge?
Absolutely. It's very, very important for everybody to know, to have bush skills, because when livestock get lost, you have to know which direction they are going.
And you could lose your entire livestock, which is like draining your entire bank account.
Absolutely, yeah.
What is the difference in the way that you relate to lions today versus, say, how your father or grandfather did?
I participated in killing several other lions in the past, but now I'm a save again, so to say. I'm now a conservation. I turned my skills, tracking skills, for lions to protect them.
What started as a handful of people is today a team of 65 lion guardians who monitor hundreds of kilometers of wild landscape in the Amboseli ecosystem. Their presence has resulted in dramatically lower rates of conflict between humans and lions in the past 2 decades. But for a few lions that routinely take livestock, collaring and monitoring them using telemetry has been an effective solution. So now when we get this information about where these collared lions might be, if they're, say, potentially near a boma, what are the next steps?
What we do is that, for example, he has a receiver and he can pick the signal. Then we go, once we know the lions are closer to a boma, we go to the community and alert them, and then we try to push the lions away from the boma.
what's the benefit of having these drones in the field for your team?
So drones can multitask. They can be used to capture lion IDs, for example, taking the whisker spots, where we can be able to identify different individuals. They can be used as a conflict mitigation tool. They can look for lost livestock, for example, lost herders, which happens almost every time. They can be used for night patrol.
I'm heading out for a night patrol with the Guardians to see if there are any lions that have decided to veer right next to the community's bomas. Let's see what we find.
Here we go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What are night patrols usually like for you?
The most satisfying thing is that you are helping the community to sleep well, wake up well. So you are playing a role that not many people do.
Why does sleep matter so much? I've never heard someone talk about sleep in the conservation
because
world.
If carnivores are causing problems, not just in the wild, and not just in the bush, but inside your home, that's a very serious matter.
And I imagine when people are sleepy and exhausted, there's more instances of conflict because, they're in that state of mind as well.
That's insecurity. That's a state of insecurity.
Yeah.
And that is what people don't want.
So we heard some lion roars coming from that direction last night, and the teams just sent out the thermal drone to see what's out there. So we've got 3 lions, right?
Yeah.
Are they females or males?
This looks like sabarals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But right now, by just looking at them, we wouldn't know from which pride until we get their IDs.
Lions are crepuscular, meaning they are most active during the early morning or late evening. Their activity pattern overlaps with human sleep schedules, which is why most conflict with Maasai herders tends to occur during these times.
I think it's a female and 2 sabarals. And we probably know the female. It's one of our old females, resident females. When we go for night patrols, for example, when we want to see where the distance between lions and the bomas, this makes it more effective for us.
Wow.
It's a very good tool to use, to have, especially when you are dealing with conflict. For example, if there was a boma close by, we will know how close the lions are, and we could go and alert the boma owners to be aware.
So the drone kind of acts as an early warning system then?
Yeah, absolutely.
As the lions slowly make their way towards the south, Eric decides to apprehend potential conflict by alerting a community living in the region they're headed towards.
Kiara kuna mahini roi na poti ai ala hemba kuna njo ndege najo ala hemba drone neeku nikidolta drone neeku lelo neeku nikidolta nikijo na yanyiaki entatalo nikilau nikiyiolou ajo nikijiurishara ajo ebaiki pa nkang'itie eileputua neeku kitii enewueji entim pooki kigira naa amanaa arip nkang'itie.
Elaashe oleng amu itu apa kura kulo olong'i nyamalta yiok lowuarak ele kijo taata nementai taata enatake nai kintoki ake kaja atoni itu kura
nija ketiu
kake yiok namtolimutuo kake omon Enkai ore sidai naa kijo ashe tenkai lai Guardian otenkaraki ntae amu igira taata aramat yiok kitejo ashe oleng
ashe role ayia entaboitare Enkai.
Eric tells me that inexperienced sub-adult lions in search of an easy meal will often prey on cattle. Thankfully, the Maasai have generations of practice dealing with these repeat offenders. This is where modern technology is set aside and traditional Maasai culture leads the way.
Malaika, we are doing mock hunt for training purposes, because if it was a real mock hunt, girls are not allowed to participate. It's something for specifically for brave warriors. But you can join us.
Thank you for letting me come to the mock hunt.
Yeah, thank you. Karibu. And then do
All right, so now we have to look for a potential lion.
Yeah.
That was intense, even without a lion involved.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are so impressive.
Yeah, we are used to it.
Conservation heroes.
Yeah, we are used to it.
I need to go to the gym.
Sure.
The Maasai community has found that the mock hunts are effective in keeping their livestock safe and protecting lions from retaliatory killings. I've realized that while these mock hunts are about the adrenaline and energy, it also helps them feel like they're a part of something larger than themselves. This is about community too.
What does it mean to you to be a lion guardian today?
Ore ribarishu esiai lion garden anyor nanu amu agira aramatisho tiang naramatita community na ina entipatisho sidai lion garden amu sidai amu esiai niasishore iltung'anak tenkop inyi neeku naa sidai tenanu.
That's such an interesting switcheroo, because historically
Yeah.
you had to keep the lions out in order to have a livelihood. And now you can have a livelihood by protecting the lions.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the most critical aspects of the work Lion Guardians does is reframing notions of masculinity as it relates to the natural world. Now, historically, the rite of passage for a young Maasai warrior was learning how to hunt and spear a lion in the wild. That's what brought pride to the community and really proved that they had what it took to be a man. But today, increasingly, for lots of young Maasai men, that is becoming about learning how to conserve lions and bringing home a sustained income from that conservation work. Sometimes all it takes is one generation. What do you say to people who think that the Maasai are moving further away from their culture by using technology today?
I'll tell them they are dead wrong, because we are accepting to use technology, but we are not losing our identity. We are still very much rooted to our culture, but we are moving forward. We've accepted that we don't want to be left behind. We have to move with the world. We have to use technologies. We have to embrace all of them.
Very often Indigenous communities are always on the other side of the camera. They're the ones you're capturing data points about. And there's very little agency in that process. But what I really am inspired by is the fact that you're saying that no, enough is enough. We're going to have the technology and we're going to use our wisdom to figure out how to use it best.
As the adage says, if a lion doesn't write his own story, the hunter will tell his tale. We've learned to do things for ourselves. We have the right mindset, we have bright people, we have the right heart, we have all that it takes to do things for ourselves. Gone are the days where other people were to decide for ourselves.
While the Lion Guardians set out to protect lions initially, their work has now created a healthier ecosystem for a wide range of incredible wildlife.
You know, because of poaching pressures across Africa, the big tusk gene began to become more recessive. And so for many generations of elephants, it was incredibly rare to see tusks going all the way down to the floor, like with this guy. So to see him here in the wild is really special. It's a sign of a well-protected ecosystem. Philly, you've got about 65 Lion Guardians across this landscape capturing data. How does it all come together on the platform?
So basically, what we have now on the screen is a digital platform where we can monitor all activities that we are doing. So basically over here, you can see there are a certain number of things that are on the map. You can see, to start with, the boundaries that is green, which I'm just showing you now. Those are the boundaries of the area that we cover, areas across the ecosystem that we cover. So we have over 65 guardians, which each one of them has a cell phone, and the cell phone has an Earth Ranger app. And that way we can be able to monitor their movement in terms of the monitoring activities that we do. If you check to the farthest end over here, we have we have a lion over here. This is a collared lion, so we can be able in terms of to see the movement of the lion. Earth Ranger basically brings all our monitoring activities together in a single platform.
Philly, how does the geofence work?
We draw a boundary, and whenever that lion, that collared lion, crosses that boundary, it gives us a signal and through WhatsApp. Therefore, we will be able to respond, either deploy a team or one of our guardians goes to those bombers to alert them.
Your team also captures lion IDs. How is that used?
So basically, whenever we get images or pictures from a certain session out there, we come and throw them on Link Lion, which is a platform that uses AI to recognize a number of us or lions. So when we throw these pictures into this platform, it uses AI to detect a lion in the database that is closer match to the ones that we've found in the field on a specific day. And this platform, basically, it's not only us as as Lion Guardians who use this platform, but many organizations who deal with lions and predators use also this platform as a database. So whenever there is a lion that has moved from Amboseli ecosystem to Maasai Mara or to Meru National Park, they can be able to take pictures of that lion, upload it, and it will tell them that that lion is already exists on the Link platform.
That's cool, because very often conservation organizations work in silos where they don't share data. And so to have this tech-driven collaboration, I think, is really neat, because it allows you to then get a sense of what the population dynamics are like. After the last couple of days here, I feel so hopeful about the future of conservation. I feel like technology isn't just a tool to protect wildlife, but it also gives communities this sense of agency and ownership about the nature in their backyard. And I think that that is crucial. If we want a world where humans and nature can coexist together, we have to look after the people who live alongside wild animals. Over the past couple of days, I've really seen firsthand how sometimes the biggest conservation wins are about the moments that don't happen. A lion not getting speared, a community member not losing their cow to an attack, a retaliatory attack not happening. It's these quiet moments that don't make the headlines, but they prove to us that when conservation is led by communities, humans and lions can share space together.